Hello everyone and welcome back to the 7th episode on the infamous Python Programmer Programs Python channel. Before going straight into today's video about classes, I wanted to give a quick mention to one of our PPP participant channels, Piano Player Playing Piano, which is currently doing amazing with 132 subscribers. So don't forget to go ahead and subscribe and leave a positive comment as you see me doing here. With all that being said, let's jump right into today's video. Okay. So this time here, I'll be showing how to make a countdown in Python. So the first thing we want to do, this is what I showed last time, the importing time, because we want to let the computer know that there is a certain time it should wait for something to happen, and that's how the countdown is going to work. So we're going to put in my time, and this right here is essentially just we want to ask the time. Now in this case, time can only be an integer, so in most cases, time is only going to be an integer, and in this case, for mine, I'm only going to put in seconds, so we're only going to use integers. So first, we're going to ask for an integer of an input. And here, we're just going to put enter your time. So this is how much you want to time down. And we can put in seconds, because I'm not going to keep transferring. Now, we want to make a for loop. So, essentially what we can put some variable x. So we could say for x in range. I'll explain this in a second. Okay. So essentially what I've said is we have this countdown x, and this is in a range from 0 to my time. That means that this code I have down here is going to keep going in the however many seconds I put in for my time. So let me try to run it to make sure I understand. So if I put in 4, this code is going to run 4 times. Here it only ran 3 times, but it runs 4 times, but then adds 1 after. So essentially, that's kind of what the whole code is trying to do. Is we're saying we have this x values in the range of time, and it's going to keep running for however long that value I put in for the time is. But now let's actually make the time. So let's do time.sleep 1. So we're saying, okay, we print 1, and then we wait 1 second, and then we print 1 more. So let's put 3. Let's print 0, then we wait 1 second, print 1, 2, and then 3. And the 3 run is, of course, within Python language, 1 is always 0, so that's why it always starts from 0. Now, if you want to count down, we can do 2 things. We can do reversed, 0 to 1, so that should help us count down from 3 to 0, but here it's not really working. So the main method I would recommend to try to count down from that is to do my time, comma 0, comma -1. So here, this is then printing in the opposite order, printing down, going down, going down. So that's perfect. Our countdown is working to some extent. But we have some problems within our countdown. The first problem we have is if I put 100, it's going to count down from 100. But we kind of want to show it in minutes as well. So we want to put minutes and then seconds, because that's much more easy for us to understand. Because if you put some like 365, which is 1 hour and 5 seconds, it's gonna just go down from that, and that's perfectly fine if that's what you want to do. But I think we can make it nicer. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add seconds, and this I'm gonna write that's x mod 60, because there's 60 minutes in a second, and then we put in minutes after this. So minutes. For this case, we're going to have, okay, minutes is going to be equal to seconds divided by 60, and then mod 60. And then, let's try to print this out, mod 60. Now, in order to make it nicer, I'm going to put the formatting, I'm going to change the formatting so it just looks better for the code we have on ourselves. So first we're going to put an F string, because we have seconds and minutes here. So we're going to put, okay, first we have 0, 0. Right now we don't have any hours. And I'm going to put an F string in for minutes. And then I'm going to put in a string here. And I'm going to do the same thing for seconds. Boom. Okay. Let's try to run the code. And let's say we have 100. So it's going to run down. But it looks kind of weird. Okay, I had the space there. But yes, it's counting down from exactly, if you put 60, it's 1 minute and it counts down. But it looks really weird, because you see how it only has this 1 0 for the minutes. And when you get down to single digit seconds, it's going to have the same problem. Let me show you what I mean. So if I put down 8 seconds, it's gonna have that same thing, and it doesn't look good. So you want to add a formatting to it, and the way you do that is you put that 02. That means 2 zeros after. So if I run the code again, and I put 60, it's have that 0, comma, so it has 0, 1, which is exactly what you want, and that's what the formatting the 02 does within this code. So now it's counting down from 60. You can see it's counting down in the seconds, and it's gonna keep counting down and keep going down until you're at the bottom of all the seconds. So that's gonna be when you reach the final time. Now let's, for the last sake, add hours. So for when you want to add hours, you just do hours equals integer, and you want to say how many is that? That's x over 360, because that's 360 minutes in an hour. It's 360 seconds, sorry, in an hour. So instead of having these 002, we do the same thing. We do hours dash 02. So now, if I then decide to run 365, it's going to come down from 5, 4, and you see the ones and the ones over there, and it's going to run all the way down, and then it's going to go into minutes. So that's a perfect counter. And then this is going to keep going for 1 second. You could, of course, increase the time, but if you actually want to do a real countdown, there's no point in increasing the time, because how you would do that is you change the time schedule here. So if you wanted to go faster, you could change this to go 5, so now it's 5 seconds per tick. But that's really dumb, because again, that doesn't follow seconds, so then it just goes down in 5 every single time, which is really weird. And also, it's gonna, I have it wrong here, it's gonna half the time. It's gonna double the time it takes, or 5 times double it, because it's gonna wait 5 times to do the next one. So this would be 5 times as slow as before. If you want to double it, go as fast, you can do 0.5. So now it's not waiting 1 second, it's waiting half a second. So you can see it goes a lot faster. And you can go all the way on to waiting 1/10 of a second. So now this is going to be really fast, so you can do 605. This is going to go really fast. And if you don't, the Python is just going to go at its max speed, which should be done in probably seconds. Or maybe a minute, no, seconds. Like I said, seconds. So you can really see how fast and how powerful Python is, because it did all these digits and printed them all out. Basically an hour's worth of just counting down in seconds if you have no timer on it. And that's why even putting a timer, time.sleep 0.001, like that, is still really effective, because it still slows it down significantly, like you can see here. So time.sleep is always useful. Also, if you just in general want to slow down your code to not make it run as fast, because it could cause lag and it could cause problems, you put time.sleep. The place where it's most effective is within while loops, because you see how fast while loops go, and if you don't want the same function to be running all the time, you put time.sleep in. It's also good if you in general want to check for something. Like you want to check if let's say you're making a game and you want to check for something changed. You don't want to sit there and check every single second. That's just going to cause way too much space, and it's going to cause way too much RAM in your computer. So what you could do is you could say, check for it, wait 5 seconds, then check again, and then wait 5 seconds, and then check again. Because then it doesn't check every single millisecond, then it checks every 5 seconds, and you're basically saving data. That's what a lot of coders do. And that's why coding is very useful, to try to simplify your code. Because you don't want your code to be overly compact or overly having unnecessary pieces in it, because it's just going way too fast. And when you have something going way too fast or using way too much space and RAM, it's going to cause a lot of problems. So what I'm saying is, when you get into the business of coding, if you're planning on getting into the business of coding, you really want to focus on creating it as simple and smooth and running with the least amount of energy as possible. But in general, this is how you would make a countdown. If you want to print out every number, if you want to save again terminal space, you could also choose not to print out every number and print out every other number, or print out every 5 minutes, or you could also add to give you 5-minute warnings, or just warnings in general if you want something. But yeah, that is in general how you'd make a countdown in Python. And again, it demonstrates uses of time and another way of using while loops and loops in general for in range.